Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game SO. Today we're going to continue the series on the MSU FPGA DE10 Nano project, more specifically in this instance, the Super Nintendo core. Not so much the core itself, but Infidelity has released, as of this morning, his Ninja Gaiden Trilogy port to Super Nintendo, bringing all three NES games over to the Super Nintendo with MSU1 enhancements and a ton of other quality of life features. It is an absolutely amazing early Christmas gift from Infidelity, who's been bringing us so many of these ports from NES to Super Nintendo, and because it is Ninja Gaiden, one of the best games and trilogies on the NES, you know you're going to have a fun time. Before you get too far involved, it'd be a huge favor, go down below, hit like and subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, we have a Patreon link down below as well. But Infidelity has absolutely nailed it, bringing across all three Ninja Gaiden games from the NES to the Super Nintendo with MSU1 enhancements and not changing the things that matter. You're not going to have any easier time beating these games on Super Nintendo than you ever did on NES, because Ninja Gaiden as a franchise is notorious for its absolutely cruel difficulty in the best ways possible, but I would say the NES games pale in comparison to the original Xbox release, a game that I still have never seen the credits scroll on. And I love ports like this. It just allows you to play an absolute classic game, or in this instance, three absolute classic games, on a new console with all of the enhancements. And when I give you the sound sample later on in the video, I will say the MSU1 soundtrack absolutely nails the vibe of what Ninja Gaiden is going for. The nice thing is you have both the MSU1 soundtrack as well as the original tracks, so you can kind of listen to the game however you want. You can play them however you want. It is one ROM file, it is three games, and it's three of the best NES games of all time. Leave me a comment down below and you tell me what is your favorite Ninja Gaiden game. It takes me a little bit to get used to the platforming and wall jumping again, because it's been a few years since I've played these in earnest, and honestly I think I've only ever beaten Ninja Gaiden 2 back in the day. These are just the type of games that are absolutely going to test your patience and abilities to play, but you're going to have fun the entire time. And the best part is on MiSTer FPGA, you're going to be able to do it without any controller latency whatsoever. But this will run on real Super Nintendo hardware. It'll also run on software emulation, so you have multiple ways to play this game. And these ROM hacks from Infidelity in 2024 have just been so much fun, and it's great to see them come out with one more pack before the year ends, and I can't wait to see what they come up with in 2025, because outside of the MSU1 support and the fact that this is now on Super Nintendo, you're going to get a little bit of reduced sprite flickering in places as well, and that is always a fun time. And I know sometimes everyone likes to comment in the comments saying, what is the point of these ports? Why don't people make new games? And that is a fair question, but honestly, why not is my answer. Stuff like this just makes people happy, so why not do it? Bringing games over from NES to Super NES with enhancements is just a fun time, and it gives you another way to play a classic game. And I will say, I still remember the first time I played Ninja Gaiden at a friend's house back in the day when I was very young. I absolutely fell in love with it, and I still love it to this day, although some of the jumps in this game still always screwed me up, having to remember that I need to get to a running speed before I'm actually able to clear this gap. And that's the nice thing about ports like this. The gameplay is intact. There's nothing changing this around. If you just want to play Ninja Gaiden 2, or Ninja Gaiden 3 on Super Nintendo, you can do it today, and it's going to be the exact game you know, love, and remember. I would say that maybe if there was an easy mode, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but I totally get why those aren't added in either. This is just that old school challenge. If you're good at the game, it will take you like 22 minutes to beat it. If you haven't played in a while, it's definitely going to take you multiple hours to be able to see the ending, but that is the fun thing. And it comes with a very big interactive menu, which I'll show you in just a moment again, but at least the first stage of most of these games gives you just enough to be able to clear them, thinking, hey, maybe I'll be good at Ninja Gaiden, before you get to stage 2 and it really opens up the difficulty. You get this awesome game selection screen at the beginning with the scrolling background and these transformations on all three of the box art covers. I like that they're the North American ones as well, because that's what I remember from back in the day, and it just looks so much fun. You really don't have to have a menu like this. You could just have black text on a white background, or vice versa, allowing you to select the games, but it gives you the option to pick what you want, get the soundtrack you want, and then basically go from there, and that's always a ton of fun. And again, you can basically have whatever music it is you want to have. If you want the enhancements, they're totally there for you. If you want the original 8-bit NES sound, it's there for you as well, and the sound emulation on the Super Nintendo seems to be exactly what it was back in the day. But this is the MSU1 soundtrack coming up next, and trust me, I absolutely love it, and I'm never going to play these games without it again. So listen, and I'll be right back in about 45 seconds. I mean, how can you go wrong with that soundtrack? It is absolutely spectacular, and that is the fun thing about the MSU1 enhancement chip, even if it is kind of quasi-imaginary. It allows you to do things with the Super Nintendo that the Super Nintendo could never do before, like have that amazing audio, play FMV videos, and have some other different effects on screen that you would not normally see. And bring it into something like an NES game on Super Nintendo is just icing on an already delicious cake. And that's again why I love mods like this. They just give you a new look at a game maybe you played a dozen times before. Maybe you want to jump back into Ninja Gaiden, you were just thinking to yourself, well, do I really want to play another NES game? And now you can play an NES game on Super Nintendo with all of that crazy music going on, and all the composers that do the music for these games do an outstanding job as well. It really is just a love letter to the overall franchise, and again, I've been playing these games since I've been a kid, and even if I'm not great at them, I've always enjoyed them. And again, it's one of those things, I just love modifications like this. It's just for the love of the systems as well as the games. I would say maybe Ninja Gaiden 3 is my personal favorite of the three outside of NES, but you can leave me a comment down below and tell me which one your favorite is, and hopefully sometime soon we get another entry in the franchise, because I just want to keep playing Ninja Gaiden games for the next couple decades until I finally give up on video games because my eyes go and my hands get arthritic. But all jokes aside, this game's definitely going to test your hands and patience, but you need to get better at the game. It's one of those titles that's absolutely just going to wreck you time and time again, but you're going to have so much fun doing it. And it really makes me wonder what Infidelity is going to come out with in 2025. Leave me a comment down below and tell me if you could snap your fingers and make one NES game just instantaneously work on Super Nintendo with some of the MSU1 enhancements, what title would that be? I'd be really curious. For me, I'd love to see something Super Mario Bros. 2 with an MSU1 soundtrack, and if it does exist out there, leave me a comment down below, because I don't have a completely encyclopedic memory of everything I've ever played or known about. But as we move on into this entire package, it's so much fun that it isn't just one game. People would have been stoked if you got the original Ninja Gaiden 2 or 3 brought over to SNES, but you get all three of them, basically completing that trilogy and giving you just such an amazing gift. And that's what these things really are. It's a fun way to end the year, but you'll see there as they get juggled to death, definitely going to be dying a lot over this Christmas if you play this game. But even when you're dying, I absolutely love how this works. It's just always been one of those titles that I've always had so much fun with, and I have so much fond memories of, because these games are basically everywhere back in the day. 50% of owners, I feel like, at least own the original Ninja Gaiden when they had an NES under their television. It was basically required playing. But I'm going to give you one more soundtrack sample of more MSU1 audio, because I can't stress enough just how good it sounds coming out of MiSTer FPGA software emulation or a real Super Nintendo. It just gives the game a completely new feel, which really does drive the action and intensity even more so than the original 8-bit soundtrack. So 30 seconds this time, and I'll come back and show you a little bit more of one of the other Ninja Gaiden games, and we'll close out this amazing video. I just absolutely love that hard rock guitar soundtrack there, and it fits the overall theming and pacing of Ninja Gaiden so well. And obviously now when you actually change the music, you can pick particular instruments that you want the game to sound like versus 8-bit chiptunes, which all just sounded like NES music. There's so many different fun instruments out there that you can set to a game, and it just works here in Ninja Gaiden. And this is just an amazing Christmas gift. Infidelity's been absolutely killing it in 2024, porting so many games over to Super Nintendo, and it seems like, at least according to his Twitter, he plans on doing the exact same thing in 2025, and I can't wait to see what he brings over. And I will leave a link to Infidelity's Twitter down below where you can grab the Ninja Gaiden trilogy for Super Nintendo, but definitely play it over the holiday. It's going to be a ton of fun. It can't be any more frustrating than having to have arguments with your family around the Christmas table. But short of that, I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.